name is Nicolette Gilbert. I'm a nurse practitioner. I just graduated from nurse practitioner school in last December. So I've been an RN for over 10 years. And I love being a nurse, but I love teaching nursing more, right? So I started doing tutoring since 2012 officially to get paid, but I've been tutoring since 2007 while I was in school. So it's something that I enjoyed. Actually, I didn't join the nursing program because I wanted to do bedside. I did it because my aunt was like, you need to eat. So I'm just being real and transparent. You're going to see my style. I'm very open and transparent about who I am and what I'm about. Anyway, so while in nursing school, I didn't really like it as much because my aunt was a nurse for many years and she was such a darn good nurse that she did over and beyond. And it kind of made her suffer a little bit because she was just too caring. So I thought, like, that's not the life for me. Anyway, so when I actually got into nursing school, I started doing well enough that I did really great. And my teacher was like, Nicolette, could you help these kids? And I'm like, okay. And then when I started to do it, I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do for my life. Like I loved it. I love the theory. So what you're going to get from me is that passion and that understanding because I've given my life to that. Like I've always wanted to be a teacher, and then I became a nurse, and now I'm a nurse teacher. So it's great. Let's get to the actual topic of today, right? That we're going to the notes here. So these notes here, if you want the full length of the notes, you see like it has fluid and electrolytes, blood and disorders, neurological disorders, oncology, psych nursing, all of that stuff, right? If you want all of it so that you can kind of get ahead of your class, you can go ahead and purchase that and you have the nursing notes. Nursing is nursing, right? Every school has a different teacher that gives a different flavor to it, but it's the same context and the same content. You go to any state, any country, and you're still going to do nursing. In the same way, any nursing textbook will give you the same nursing information, but just spoken by a different person. So if you want the notes ahead of time, go ahead and go into here and on Thinkific, okay? So we're going to start with the fluid and electrolytes. And all right, so I just want to, ask God at the moment to just kind of help us, right? To clear our minds, understanding, and help us to focus so that we can understand this information, and we will begin. Okay, so with fluid and electrolytes, right? The concept of body fluids, right? It's good to know that there's a lot of fluid in our body. And the percentage for adults, for children, for males and females differ a little bit. But the main point for you to remember is the difference between the adults, seniors, and infants, because they're the ones that are affected the most, right? And it's good to remember. And when you're learning these things, I want you to make it practical to you. And how do you make it practical? And that's by you kind of living the experiences that you've seen in your head, but through your studies. So usually when it's summertime, your broadcaster or newscasters will tell you, be careful of your seniors and be careful of your babies, right? Because when they get dehydrated, it's really bad for them. And this is how I try to visualize it in my head, right? So when you have a cup of water or drink, right? If it's full and I drink a little bit from it, you notice it like right away because it was full and now it's not, right? And if it was like a little bit left, like a little bit, and then I drank from it, you notice it right away because it was a little bit left and now it's almost gone, right? But if it was like halfway full and I take a little bit of it, like you can't really tell where it was in the middle. And that's how I kind of conceptualize it in my head to help me to understand that the seniors, because they have less fluid in the body, right, in the bottom here, when they remove the fluid, it's affected really drastically because it's noticeable, right? And in the babies, because they have much more fluid than everybody else, it's like that full cup. When you remove the fluid, you can notice it as well. So it's affecting them as well. So just have that picture in your mind so you can know how that relates. Okay, so now let's talk about, and we're going to get back into the fluid aspect and where it is and what it is. Well, let's get into it now. So we have interstitial, we have intravascular, right? So interstitial is in between like the muscles and cells, and they're not inside the vessel, right? So the way to think about that is when a person has inflammation, when a person has edema, when it's swelling, that fluid left the vessels, and went into the tissue, the body, and that is interstitial. So swelling and inflammation, edema, and those things, they're interstitial. Then you have intravascular. This is where it should be, right? Well, you have fluid in your interstitial as well, but not so much as it is visible, right? And in intravascular, it's running through your veins, running through your arteries, in your lymph nodes. Those are where they are. So we also have cerebrospinal fluid, right? And in this here, we know, like when you have like spinal taps, right? They can remove that fluid, so we know that exists. Gastrointestinal secretions, right? Your hydrochloric acid inside your stomach, right? There's fluids everywhere. So, but the idea about fluid and electrolyte balance is that every fluid that's where it's supposed to be should just stay there. They should not be shifting and moving. And once you shift and move, you're going to have a problem, right? And we don't want to have a problem. And if we do have a problem, we want to fix it right away before it gets so much so that it's irreversible. All right, so let's talk about electrolytes. Electrolytes, we have sodium, calcium, chloride, sodium bicarbonate. These are the ones that are, well, they're all important. They're all important. And I'm going to tell you the ones that you need to totally memorize, because there's some that are like very, like superficial, and it's like, oh, it's important to know, and I can kind of relate to it, right? When you talk about sodium, I eat a lot of, salty foods or processed foods, and, well, I don't, but you might, I don't know if somebody might. And so you can kind of figure that out with the sodium, right? But we also have potassium and phosphate and magnesium. So the ones that you definitely need to know for nursing, and they will test you on, is definitely going to be the bicarbonate, right? And the potassium, right? So those are the ones that, like, for sure. The others, they will test you as well. I'm not going to say they're not going to be there, because they are important. But the ones for sure that you have to memorize the results are these. And the reason why is because they're the ones that can kill you faster. See, the others, when they come out of whack, it's like, I can remedy it quickly enough that it's not a problem for me, right? But the other ones, like when I mentioned sodium bicarbonate, that has to do with your pH, right? So our pH, and we will see that in acid-base balance. That's a different topic that I will cover at a different time. So with the I keep saying hydrochloric acid. So the bicarbonate here, 22 to 26 is the norm. So this is going to be the base in your body, and it's controlled by your kidney, right? And if you remember, or if you don't know, those of you who are reviewing or whatever, right? So we have the CO2 and we have the bicarbonate. The CO2 deals with the acid, and the bicarbonate deals with the base. So if you're basic or acid, your body will kind of shift the numbers of these electrolytes, so that they can adjust, so that your body can become neutral again. So this number right here is super important. The next one that's super important as well is potassium, and that's because that deals with your heart, and that deals with muscles, right? And so anything that can excite muscles can excite the heart, and that could give you a whole heart attack, right? So you need to know exactly, and it has to be precise, because you see the range, like that range is close. And that's the other thing to know, right? Looking at these ranges, how far apart are they? 135 to 145, 80, like you got to see, how much of a leeway do I have? So like with the potassium here, if the person is not, if it's not in the right range, the person can have a heart attack, I mentioned, right? And then when they're giving that medication, they have to give it, like, depending on how much, they got to put a monitor on them, a heart monitor. So it's like really serious, right? The other one that I know that they will definitely test you on is calcium. And calcium also has to do with the muscles. And that also has to do with the heart, and it has to do with movement and all of that too. It also has to do with what's called action potential. If you remember biology, you remember that there's something where it's all or nothing, and there's like channels that open up, and that allows, potassium and calcium to exchange. And then if it works, then the movement happens, right? So this is also important to know. And we'll talk about a little bit some of the things that happen when they're all out of whack. But those are the three main ones, especially for med surg, that I would remember. Now, for OB, we have a whole different one, and that's magnesium. Magnesium is seen mostly in OB, right? Magnesium is used for contractions as well. It has to do with muscle. Apparently, they all got to do with muscle. But it has to do with muscle. And like if a person is going into contraction, contractions, they'll give them magnesium sulfate because that will help decrease the contraction so that they do not go into labor, right? Which also has something to do with seizures because that has to do with contractions, convulsion, relaxation, right? So those are important. Something that I want to tell you is when you're studying, right, you always want to see the information that appears a lot, right? So for example, if I say magnesium, right, and I'm talking about magnesium here in fluid electrolytes, and then I see magnesium in message in seizures, and then I see magnesium again in OB with a pregnant woman. Wow, that's like 3 times. So that's important for you to remember because when your teacher or the NCLEX is testing you, they don't have to ask 3 questions. They could just ask one. And in that one question, perhaps asking you what it's for and knowing that it's for muscles and relaxations and deep tendon reflexes and all of that, they don't have to ask you 3 questions. They ask you only one. So these are the kind of things that you want to remember. Not to say that you don't have to remember everything, because if you ask anybody, so what do I have to know? And they'll tell you everything. But I'm going to tell you what you definitely need to know. And then I'll tell you to gloss over the others, right? For more information on how to register for classes and get help from our tutoring center, visit www.gabnicnursingtutor.com. That is www.gabnicnursingtutor.com. To view our free or paid classes, sign up on www.thinkific.com. That's www.thinkific.com and register for the pre-recorded classes of your choice after searching for the Gab-Nic Tutoring Center uploads. We offer in-person tutoring and Zoom calls. You can also find us on YouTube for more free classes and tips on how to do better in nursing. We are also on Facebook, where we upload articles, tips, and tricks on how you can make your journey to becoming a nurse smooth and near effortless. Did I mention Instagram? Basically, we are everywhere. So check us out or call 917-602-9927 and we will tell you just how to join. See you soon!